Here's the truth, guys. You guys don't want to improve. I actually think you want to improve very quickly. And I don't blame you. I actually think this is a very, very valid need and desire that you want to improve quickly. Look at myself as an example, right? You've probably seen my gameplay. You might think, oh, he's pretty good mechanically and all that. But the reality is, behind the scenes, this took me 3 to 4 years to do it right. And I actually believe that you don't have to take 3 to 4 years. The reality is, it does not have to take that long. In this video, I'm actually going to outline exactly what you need to know in order to take a quarter of that time to get to a very, very high level, perhaps tier 1 or tier 2 pro. And I really mean it, guys. Watch this video from front to back, and at the end of this video you will truly understand exactly what is holding you back from improving. And the key word here, this is why I put it in the title, improving fast. So let's get started. I really wanted to give back to my community recently since you guys have been supporting my videos so much. So I have an absolutely mind-blowing deal for you. Take advantage of our Black Friday sale that's going on at oneclickmouse.com/psychoma, which is actually a mouse I've designed myself specifically for Fortnite. You get it for 50% off because of our Christmas sale. If that's not good enough, we've also changed it so that there's international free shipping. This offer actually ends very soon, so get your Aspire Pro while you can by clicking the link in the description. Thank you guys so much, and now back to the video. The key thing to understand to actually solve this problem is you have to look at the fact that there's two variables in this equation. There is, of course, variable number 1, which is improvement, but there's also variable number 2, which is the amount of time it takes to do that improvement. And in order to actually optimize both variables, improvement being very high and the amount of time it takes to do said improvement very low, you actually have to understand what you're doing. And so majority of this video will be explaining things or concepts that you need to understand in order to optimize for these variables. So the very first thing that you guys need to actually understand is that when pros, or when you see myself play, or when any high level person that's actually building and has good mechanics, when they play, it's automated. They're not actually thinking in their head. It's very much something that you can do automatically without thinking, without the thoughts. And I think this is a point that you must get to eventually. The question then becomes, how do you get there? The key word here is habits. You need to develop good habits and get rid of all of your bad habits. So then we sit here and we think, why are habits so important? Well, if we know that the end goal is to get to a point where, at least mechanically, we're not thinking about what we're doing and it's all automatic and super subconscious, habits is the only answer to this, because habits by definition are subconscious. You don't think about your habits. Your habits are what you do subconsciously day in, day out. If you have a habit to going to the gym every day, it almost feels weird not to go, especially if that habit is extremely strong. And you would define that as a good habit. So cool, we'll keep that. If you have a habit of eating junk food all the time, well, you would define that as a bad habit. How do we break that? Well, first step is you need to identify the habit. And I would do this by writing it down. And you need to self-reflect. You need to look at your stuff and you need to ask yourself, what are my good habits and what are my bad habits? And of course, this is going to require some self-reflection. And if you need help with this, actually, go and look at your replay. That would make it easier. Go and actually take the time to go through your replays with this intention. And I think you'll be able to identify what your good and bad habits are to a degree. Of course, at a certain point, you do need to consult the experts. If you have friends that are really good, then cool. And if you don't, then, that's why I make these YouTube videos, to, spread information, spread everything that I know, and hopefully help some of you guys out who are struggling, because I understand that it sucks to actually not improve after you've tried for 3 to 4 or 5 months, right? Anyways, guys, listen, habits is the key to actually unlocking your ability to improve quickly. You need to develop good habits and you need to get rid of the bad habits. I need to keep bringing this video back to this point because this is what this whole video is going to be about. It's about habit. For example, guys, if you guys are part of the 1% of people who actually watch this video and you actually go and watch your replays, right? Then you'll notice that, hey, some things end up repeating. What I mean by this is if you find an example of hey, I've realized that I'm actually not even paying attention to my opponent. I don't even think about what gun they have, or are they holding their blueprint, or are they not looking at me? Part of the game is paying attention to your opponent, and maybe you realize that a bad habit of yours is that you don't even pay attention to that. On top of that, actually, you realize that it's been happening frequently. It's 80% of fights, you don't even look at your opponent, right? And so you might notice that. And so then using that and pay attention, because this is important here, you have to prioritize. And in order to prioritize, you have to be a little bit organized. You don't have to be that organized, but you have to be a little bit organized. So when you find a high priority item that seems very impactful, it seems to be trending or, repeating that often, and it seems like something that is impacting your gameplay a lot negatively, and you want to get rid of it, then write it down. And then write this down in terms of rank, in terms of priority. So then if you find another mistake that seems even worse than what that is, it seems like it's hurting your gameplay even more, then put it above that. Then when you actually practice, put yourself in a scenario where you can actually run into that habit. And if we're talking about that habit where you don't pay attention to your opponent, go play 1v1 realistics, right? Go and check if you can actually consciously get rid of that, because obviously we do want to get to a point where we don't have to think, but during the process of actually trying to get rid of it, unfortunately you may have to consciously think about it for now, right? I always like to give the example of riding the bike for the first time. Like if we don't know how to ride a bike and we're getting on for the first time, we're very much consciously thinking about like which way to move the handle and like trying to counteract which way we're falling. And so this is conscious at first, but very quickly it goes away, right? And by the way, guys, it is very difficult. I understand you have to be very tenacious here. It's difficult to get rid of a bad habit. It's gonna be frustrating, and expecting that and knowing that it's gonna be a difficult task is gonna brace you for the fact that it's gonna be a difficult task, and you're more likely to not quit. So just understand that these things are not difficult, but it's very much worth your time to actually care about the bad and good habits that you have in order to either destroy or reinforce those particular things. So now in this next part of the video, I actually want to talk about specific bad habits that people might have so that you can ask yourself like, hey, do I actually possess some of these, and could I actually fix them myself? So let's get into it. The first common bad habit that I want you guys to take into account is overbuilding. A lot of people tend to overuse building structures unnecessarily, wasting a ton of resources and then making themselves vulnerable to enemy attacks later when they don't have any. And so it's really important that each build that you place has a purpose. It has a reason as to why you're placing it. Do not just edit course when your enemy is 3 blocks away. That doesn't make sense, right? If you ask yourself, why am I doing this? I feel like a lot of the overbuilding will just go away because you literally can't come up with a good reason as to why you're doing it. And if you can't, then don't do it. Pay attention to this first bad habit, because I actually think a lot more of you guys are victim to this bad habit than you actually think. So watch your gameplay back and make sure that this is not you. The second bad habit is that people play too much into their impatience. And I actually think this is more of a mental one, but it's an important one nonetheless. A lot of people in fights and also in solo cash cups have this issue of impatience. So in fights, a lot of people tend to rush the enemy because they want to end the fight quickly because, oh no third parties. But you can't listen to that, and you have to listen to the HP of both players and what the situation is telling you to do. There's 1 or 2 good answers to the situation that you're in, and it's not good to, give in to the impatient tendencies that you might have just because you want to end the fight quickly. Listen to the situation. The situation has an answer, and that is really, really important. And there's a reason why I'm being vague, by the way. It's not to sound mysterious or anything, but each situation calls for something different, and I would not be a good coach if I sat here and told you a very specific answer to this, because everything is extremely situational based on what's going on. The third bad habit is not putting enough importance on HP and what it's telling you to do. So I always say this because it's an important detail in terms of understanding how to fight properly, and a lot of people to this day still do not look at their HP and compare it to the enemy's HP and then understand that that's telling you to do something. You just have to figure out what that is and listen to it. Kind of tying into this a little bit, listen to your loadout as well, right? Just like you would listen to HP advantage, listen to your loadout. And this includes your heals. Like for example, if you're running around the map and you have full HP, but you only have 1 mini in reserve and that's all your heals, understand that this actually means something. This means you should not want to handshake even trades. You should not want to take damage. Like go loot some random house and I swear you'll have 4 minis all of a sudden, and then you could maybe fight with some more confidence, right? Because having very little heals in reserve and playing normally is actually a mistake, believe it or not. So look into both of these things and add it to your skill set. The fourth bad habit that I think a lot of people make is not analyzing the meta. Well, what is the meta? The meta is simply the best strategies for that season. And it's important that you analyze from season to season and don't keep the same bad habits, because actually a lot of people in the slurp season were going for a lot of even trades because they didn't really care about how much damage they took, because all they had to do is just box up, pop one slurp, boom, you're fixed, right? But now that doesn't exist anymore. And it's really, really important that you adapt and adjust. And funnily enough, a lot of people did not do that for OG Fortnite. OG Fortnite season came out and the heals completely changed, yet every single person was playing as if they didn't. Every single person was used to the slurps and was constantly complaining about the heal. You realize your enemy has the same disadvantage that you did. Although they were somewhat right, yes, the heals were a little bit too scarce, and it made the game in such a way that if you made a single mistake, you would just get punished for the rest of the game because you didn't have heals to back it up. Yet, even after the 20% buff that they did, everyone still played like it was slurps, and that's just simply not the case. So as you go into new seasons, reevaluate, look at what the weapons are, look at what the heals are, and understand that this actually changes the way you should play, and you should appreciate that. Guys, I cannot say this enough. Habits are the building block of improving fast. The faster you understand this, the faster you will start to improve. And it's really, really important that you get that these subconscious habits are the reason why you are bad, but it could also be the reason why you can be good, because good habits can exist as well. Please, if there's one thing that you guys take away from my channel, it's that you appreciate this and really take the time to look back at your replays and actually fix these things, because then I genuinely believe you'll be able to achieve your goals. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.